how's Nintendo faring amongst this plummeting game industry crash? Better than ever, actually. Amid this chaos, the Switch 1 sales of over 150 million units sold is on the path to becoming the most successful console in history. And Nintendo's just getting started, with an even better system on its way this year with the Switch 2. So, with the declining game sales everywhere else, it seems that everyone is desperately wanting to put their games on this new console, because it's now looking more than ever before like the Switch 2 is the only system that can save them from a gaming industry crash. Microsoft is no exception to this plummeting game industry crash either. In recounting Microsoft's lowest console sales numbers in history, Microsoft only sold 2.7 million Xbox consoles in the US last year. They have been buying multiple game studios like Bethesda and Activision Blizzard King to bolster their list of exclusive games to help with Xbox hardware sales. But that didn't help, and like Sega before, they have lost so much money that they are also now needing to put their games on other platforms to make up for the losses they're seeing. In speaking about Nintendo, Microsoft's CEO of gaming, Phil Spencer, told Gamertag Radio, "I'm really looking forward to supporting them with the games that we have, and I just think they're a really important part of this industry. Who would ever bet against the success of Nintendo?" And in trying to be transparent with gamers, Phil Spencer also said that Xbox showcases will be showing Nintendo's logo when a game is coming to a Nintendo platform. Microsoft has already announced numerous games they're bringing to Nintendo. And once the Switch 2 comes out, there's no doubt that they'll keep on bringing their exclusive games to it. Now, I have a goal to reach 1,000 subscribers before Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April, and I really appreciate your support very much. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to keep getting more amazing Nintendo news, make sure you subscribe so you won't miss out on anything. So, what's going on with PlayStation? Well, Sony is in a weird situation with their PlayStation brand, because it seems like Sony keeps focusing on what their customer fanbase doesn't necessarily want. Most people pick up a PlayStation for the single-player or in-game multiplayer experiences, but Sony went all in on games as a service, and that's just not what most people want. Then, when Sony realized that their customers didn't want what they were trying to put out, there were layoffs, with a graveyard of game and studio closures, which of course resulted in colossal failures of wasted time, wasted effort, and a waste of a lot of money from hundreds of millions, or maybe even billions of dollars in losses. The PS5 has been out for over 4 years now, and the game output has been terrible. There have been more games canceled than games that have come out. And it's because of this ideology in the gaming industry that every game needs a bigger budget, it needs everything, and it needs to take 10 years to make. A fun game doesn't necessarily need all of that, and that's why games like Astrobot have been flourishing on the PS5 while many exclusives have not. Now, if a company does their research to know what people want and put out a game that fills that need, even if it takes more than a few years for it to come out, then there could still be a success. And this is what Sony should have done. They should have looked into what their customers wanted more than the money they were hoping for, and they would not have wasted so much time and money on terrible projects that shot themselves in the foot. Since Sony has literally lost billions of dollars, they have now changed up their leadership in favor of a new plan and have named Hiroki Totoki as the new corporate CEO. That's a fun name to say, Hiroki Totoki. Anyways, last year as president and before he was named CEO, Hiroki Totoki said, "Sony's looking to put first-party content on other platforms. And along with putting some games on the PC, they also put one of their biggest first-party franchises on the Nintendo Switch through LEGO Horizons Adventures." Now, I know many of you are saying that it's not a real Horizons game, and it isn't, but it is still an IP from the Horizons first-party franchise, and I know Sony's thinking about bringing other games too. Just last year, 64% of spending on Microsoft titles in December came from PlayStation users. So Sony was technically driving more Microsoft sales than Xbox. This was because of games like Call of Duty. And if Hiroki Totoki wants to be aggressive with Sony's first-party IPs like he said, don't you think he, along with the rest of Sony, is sitting back and thinking, well, from what December showed, more people are spending money on Microsoft stuff than they are on PlayStation stuff. Now, initially, Microsoft started with just putting 1 or 2 games on other platforms, and all of a sudden, the floodgates opened up. Don't you think PlayStation is thinking about this too? Especially with all of the money they've been losing. That's how these things start. And once a company starts down this path, there's no going back, which ultimately makes these console exclusives not exclusive to a console any longer. But with these inflated budgets and huge company studio acquisitions, Sony's got to do something to make up for their lost revenue if they want to stay in the gaming business. And from the rumors I've been hearing, just like Microsoft's been doing, Sony will also be putting PlayStation exclusive games on the Switch too. So what does Nintendo's situation look like? Well, it's never been better. Nintendo has never put their exclusives on another console before, and I don't see them doing that anytime soon either, especially with the huge successes they've been getting with the Switch. And in this war of consoles, with Nintendo's huge success, as Sony and Microsoft are losing so much money that they need to expand elsewhere, Nintendo may be the only one who can save them from a game industry crash this year by Sony and Microsoft selling their games on the Switch too. As quoted on the investment advisor website TipRanks, Nintendo Switch 2 will dominate rivals thanks to NTDOY's simple strategy. NTDOY is Nintendo's stock handle. Nintendo is the clear winner of the current console war, with the Switch easily outselling its rivals. The handheld home game console hybrid has moved more than 150 million units so far, leaving Sony's PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS in the dust with their 74.9 million and 28.3 million sales respectively. How has the video game company achieved this success? There's no doubt the unique nature of the Nintendo Switch, a portable console that can connect to a dock for gaming on the go or at home, is behind a large portion of its sales. However, a video game console sells not just on its features, but on the games released for it. This is a key area where Nintendo stands out among its competitors. The video game developer has strongly supported the Switch with a steady release of high-quality first-party games. That's led to 72 first-party Switch games that have sold at least 1 million copies each. For comparison, Sony hasn't even come close to that, with just 5 PS5 titles with more than 1 million sales, and Xbox is better left unmentioned as the Series XS has struggled to find its footing. The rest of the article talks about how Nintendo doesn't focus on projects with overflowing budgets or all of the bells and whistles, but their focus is on how fun the game is. This allows them to keep spitting out fun games without breaking the bank or taking way too long to make them. Now, I've already talked about how so many PlayStation and Xbox games are coming to the Switch 2 in a previous video that you can watch by clicking on this link here or by clicking on the link for it in the description below. And this list is just scratching the surface with other console exclusives and third-party games that could be coming to the Switch 2. But with Nintendo keeping their exclusives and the Switch 2 having the power and flexibility to play exclusive games from other consoles, the Switch 2 is set for the biggest success of all. And it's being set up for success from the very beginning too, because according to Nintendo Life, an analyst expects Switch 2 to sell like hotcakes in its first quarter. As it enters its 9th year, it's fair to say that the Nintendo Switch has been quite the sales hit, like 150 million units, third best-selling console of all time, kind of a hit. We've previously heard analysts make the low-hanging fruit prediction that Switch 2 sales numbers might not live up to that of its predecessor, but that doesn't mean that it won't come out of the gates at a full-on sprint. At least that's what Toyo Securities analyst Hideki Yasuda is expecting. In a recent blog post on the Japanese GamesIndustry.biz website, Yasuda stated that he expects the Switch 2 to shift an impressive 6 million units in its first quarter, the second quarter of fiscal year 2025-26, assuming the console lands a July release. This, according to Yasuda, would be an incredible number and could completely shatter the widespread industry superstition that game consoles must be released during the year-end sales season. It's worth bearing in mind that the production of the PS5 was assumed to have begun 5 months before its release, and that went on to sell 4.5 million units in its first quarter. If Yasuda's estimates are to be believed, the period between production and release for Switch 2 will have been much longer, potentially putting quarter one sales above that 6 million prediction. With the stock increase landing halfway through the fiscal year before the Switch 2 launch, Yasuda believes that Nintendo is planning to flood the market with Switch 2, creating a situation where PlayStation cannot catch up and settle the battle for this generation against PS6. Heck, shifting 6 million Switch 2s sure would give Sony some catching up to do down the line. Just for reference, Switch 1 sold 2.74 million units to cap off its first quarter in March 2017. It released on 3rd March, let's not forget, and a further 1.97 million the following quarter. Now, if they get 6 million sales in the first quarter that the Switch 2 launches, Nintendo will shatter all records. And just in case you're thinking that the hybrid Switch consoles are not only competing with Microsoft and Sony, but that they're also competing with handheld PCs like the Steam Deck and Rogue Ally, according to The Verge, the 6 million sales number the Switch 2 is expected to hit in the first quarter of its launch is more than all combined sales that handheld PCs have had over the last 3 years. So they're not even in the same playing field as the Switch 2. And where the Switch 1 sold out in its first quarter's sales of 2.74 million units, the Switch 2 will hit the ground running with more momentum and be set up for greater success with almost no competition than the Switch has ever had. So why buy any other competitor console when their stuff is looking like it's coming to the Switch 2 as well? Even many PC games could be ported and be enjoyed better on the Switch 2 than on handheld PCs with the mouse functionality that the new Joy-Cons will have. The Switch 2 will blow everyone out of the water, and I can't wait to play games on it, especially since there will be so many games to choose from with everyone putting their games on it. I'd like to hear from you though. What are your thoughts on how the Switch 2 will save the gaming industry? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching and subscribing. If you'd like to see more amazing Switch 2 news, you'll want to watch this video here. And if you're liking this content, we'd love for you to join our membership program, where you'll enjoy many perks like loyalty badges, special emojis, membership videos, and so much more.